in life, there comes those times that things happen that we wish never would. They take us out often. Sometimes death, other things that cause us to grieve are so tough that we just are in a place where we don't feel like we'll ever get back up. And the truth of the matter is that often if we don't find help, if we don't find somebody that's been there, we can't make it through. Now, I know some of you, as you're listening, are probably going through some major crises like that in your life right now. So today we want to present you some help. And in order to do that, I've brought along our best-selling author, Catherine McNulty, who's going to talk to you about her life experience as well as her new best-selling book, Grief Inspired. Hi, Catherine. How are you doing today?
Hi, Steve. I'm fantastic. Thanks for inviting me here.
Absolutely. So, tell us just a little bit about your backstory that that brought the book around. What happened?
So for me, I was in my late 30s, and I was feeling like I was on top of the world. Everything in my life up until that point had gone exactly as I planned. I had a great career, a great marriage. I really had a lot of fun. And so I was ready to start my family. And I was ready for that, and had everything planned out just as it was going to be. And the unthinkable happened. So I lost my son back in 2011. So like many other people, I scrambled to figure out how to grieve and what I could do to get back to my normal life, right? I wanted to get back to normal.
And I know it's a tough subject for you even still, but I think probably what you've discovered is that normal of what was isn't what normal is now. Would that be a fair way of saying it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My normal today is far different than it was back then. And what I didn't know, that out of the pain and the heartache and the suffering that I went through in losing my son and then going through the entire grief process, what I didn't know is that I would, in the process, uncover a new life for myself that was full of purpose, meaning, and joy. And so what I did was I put together this book called The Gifts of Grief, really uh, to help others shift their perspective and look at things a little bit differently. Grief gave me gifts that were both unexpected and unwanted, but they're gifts that I'm forever grateful for today.
And I love that subtitle to your book. Grief was an unwanted gift that changed my life. I'm sure there's so many things you could say, but if you had to pick just one, what would be the biggest change that you found in your life now on the other side of the grieving process?
Well, the biggest thing is that, that what happens is when you have grief that happens very close to you, right? So I'm talking about a deep grief to someone that's very close to you in your life. It has to change the trajectory that your life is on. And so I've really learned that for me, grief was really not an end, that the loss of my son was not an end per se. It was partially an end, but it was also a bit of a beginning. And so it's given me a new perspective, a new way to look at my life, to be hopeful for my life, and be inspired for the future that I have now and the future that's also continuing to come.
So you talk in the book about gifts. And it's such a different, it's really shocking. I remember the first time I heard the phrase, I was like, you don't think of the gift of grief, um,
Mhm.
but, explain to people who maybe are in the middle of the process what you mean by the unwanted gifts that have helped you through the process.
Well, yeah. So, the one thing that I want to start with is really that, grief is universal. Grief is something that happens to all of us. And it's going to happen to you if it hasn't happened already. But definitely at some point in all of our lives, someone close to us will die. It's just a fact of life. And the reality is that we don't know how to help ourselves through our grief, and other people certainly don't know how to help us through our grief. So the result of that is that we're really left to grieve alone. And so for me personally, it's really going through the grief process. I was forced to find a way out of it, and I wanted to understand. So for me, going through my process, I have deep understanding of what grief is, what grief means, and it's given me an opportunity to look within and uncover, discover who I am as a person again, bring self-awareness. And through that self-awareness is really where I'm finding the meaning and the purpose and the joy in my life. I do have a 3-year-old son today. My relationship with him is profoundly different than it would have been before my loss. My relationship with my husband is profoundly different because of going through the grief process. Just everything about my life is really different. The way I look at the world, what's important, what's not important, the things I can let go today, because they're really insignificant in comparison to what we're all here to do in life. And to find, I found unbelievable connectedness with other people through the grief process. And, that's my biggest message, is that, although many of us tend to grieve alone because it seems so foreign to us, we really don't have to, right? We can grieve together. You can find somebody to support you in your grief, like I did. And there are tools and there's strategies and there's ways of learning to grieve that will really help us get through it. And like my book says, do more than just survive grief. I think when we all start to grieve, we say, okay, I just want to get through this, right? How am I just going to get back to where I was? But what my messaging is no, that's not what we want. Let's take a step beyond that. Let's do more than survive grief. Let's create a new and inspiring future, and let's serve each other in the process. Let's use our experience to reach out to other people and be connected, because through that connection is really, in my opinion, where the meaning and the purpose in life come from.
I love that phrase you used, do more than just survive grief. Because you're right, it is really one of those kind of things that we try to get through. We try to brush off as quickly as we can rather than just going through it and being, objective with what is my life going to be like and what can my life be like, because this event that, like you said, happens to everybody happened in my life.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my mission and my goal in life is to help people do more than survive grief and to explore what that means for them. And, what do they want to do? What do they want to contribute to the world? How do they want to honor the people or the ones that they've lost, right? Because through continuing to live, we honor the people that we've lost.
It's a great way to say it. Well, I know you have your book. It's a bestseller, Grief Inspired by Catherine McNulty. And if people want to go further, do more with you, how could they get in contact with you? Do you have a website?
So I do. So basically just by searching, my company name is Grief Inspired. So you can go to my website, which is www.griefinspired. I have a support group on Facebook. Again, if you just go to Facebook and search Grief Inspired, you can find me there. You can find me on YouTube, and that's under Catherine Centenary McNulty, which is my maiden name. So definitely, and then my email as well is griefinspired@gmail.com. I encourage everyone to reach out to me because, again, it's through the connection that we help each other grieve. So reach out and make that connection.
So if you're grieving today, I encourage you to do two things. Pick up a copy of Grief Inspired from Amazon, and then reach out, Facebook group, the website, wherever, to Catherine, Grief Inspired, and really learn how you can be inspired through your grief today. Catherine, thanks so much for spending some time here with us today on the show.
Great, Steve. Thanks so much.